Welcome to the Irresistible You podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. I'm your host, Amy Beltran, CEO and founder of Irresistible University. Through my signature online coaching program, I teach women just like you how to ditch the body image issues, gain confidence, and lose the emotional weight to look and feel irresistible at any size. If you would like to learn more about my program and see if you're a good fit for enrollment into Irresistible You, please schedule a free confidence clarity call at irresistibleicing.com/call. You can also find the link in the show notes. All right, let's do this. Let's get into this week. I'm so excited about today's topic. It is something that I am super passionate about. And for my longtime listeners, you know that when I'm super passionate about a topic, I might get on an Amy rant or tangent. So, I do tend to curse in my podcast episodes. So if that's offensive to you, I'm not the podcast for you because I'm not going to stop doing that. That's the great thing about the internet. We have choices. We have the option to just hit stop and move on with our lives. And for those of you that are here for it, let's do this, girl. So this topic today is, if I really think about it, this is honestly the crux of what Irresistible University, the podcast, my coaching program, and my entire business is built upon. It's really honestly been built upon this concept. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because this is what honestly, the more I'm thinking about it, excuse me, sorry guys, pregnancy, congestion. It's not going to stop till the baby comes. I'm not sick, but it always sounds like I'm sick. Same thing with my daughter. It's so weird. What I was saying though is, what was I saying? Oh my God. Oh gosh. Okay, this is going great. No, what I'm saying is that this topic is really the foundation of why I do what I do. It's really, honestly, the more I'm thinking about it, this is what Irresistible You is all about. This is like really the place that I want, my listeners and my clients and my students to get to. This is what it's all about. So I am probably going to be on a roll here. I'm going to get fired up. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I just love talking about. And I love being able to have you think a different way, because for so long, the diet industry and our society has had you believe one thing to be true. And my biggest passion and mission really is to break that thought pattern, is to break that belief or that rule that you've created for yourself. So you're probably like, okay, what are we talking about? Let's just get into it already. Let's do this. So let's just get it out in the open. What we're talking about today is for you to embrace the fact that you need to stop measuring your life in a weight range and a BMI. You cannot measure your life with a goal weight. You cannot define the life that you want for yourself by saying, I have to be in this weight range. Because a weight range is not a metric for how you choose to live your life. Okay, and I'm going to break all that down if you're like, what? So, where I see a lot of you coming in through the confidence clarity calls I have, through the questions that you answer if you're coming into the free podcast discussion group in Facebook, a lot of you are always talking, and let me tell you, I don't talk about anything on this podcast. I don't teach anything. I don't talk about anything that I personally haven't experienced as well. So I'm just at a point where I've done the work. I've gone through the transformation. I continue to do the work because this work is not one and done. You don't reach this limit and you're like, well, I don't have to work on myself anymore. I'm good. No. So whatever I talk about, I've been in your shoes and I've done the same thing. And so what I'm seeing a lot of you saying and talking about is like, well, you'll look at your old pictures, right? How many of you bust out your old pictures, what you call your skinny pictures, or when you lost all the weight pictures, and you look at that picture and you are so sad and you feel so deflated because you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I used to be that small. Or how about the ones where you thought you were fat in the picture and now you're like, oh my God, girl, like what were you thinking? Because here's the thing. You look at that picture and the thing that you tell yourself is like, if I could just get back to this size, everything would be great again. Because I've heard you say this, and I used to sit and obsess and dwell on, I can't believe I used to look like that and I let myself go. I can't believe I used to look like that and I gained the weight back. And all I would do was compare where I was in the present with that photo. And you just waste all this time. Like, if I could just weigh that number again, if I could just be that size again, everything would be great. But how was your life, though? That's what I want to ask you. Because you have to take into consideration, first and foremost, the woman or the girl that's in that photo, you're not her anymore. And if whatever bullshit diet you did, because you always tell, oh, I was doing the such and such diet and I was so good and I was following all the rules and I was working out 7 days a week and I was going to the meetings and I was doing this and I was doing that. And you're like so proud of yourself of who you were because you were such a good little rule diet follower, right? But here's the thing. I mean, if all of that worked, and if all of that was sustainable, you wouldn't be sitting around crying with the picture in your hand of of what you used to look like, of what you used to weigh. Because if it worked, then you would have been able to sustain that lifestyle, right? So you need to think about that when you look at those pictures. What were you doing and how did you get there, and why are you choosing to define the type of life that you want in a weight range? Because you're like, I always say, when I was in the 180s, man, life was great. When I was under 200, life was great. When I was in the 150s, everything was perfect. You have to stop defining the quality of your life in a fucking weight range. Because obviously things weren't so hot at that number, at that size, at that time in your life, or you'd still be there. Something happened along the way for you to gain back your weight because probably, well, number one, you're eating more than you're supposed to, and you're eating more than you're supposed to because there's something else going on for you in most cases, right? If you're one of my listeners, the weight gain is from emotional eating. I mean, that's just straight up what it is. You know, this is not some bodybuilding bullshit podcast where people just gain weight because they don't. This is about emotional eating, okay? So what I want you to stop doing is I want you to stop looking at those old pictures and longing to be that woman. Because you're not her. You have grown. You have changed. You have had other life experiences, good or bad, that have happened to you. And we can't go back to the past. And I'm so tired of everybody trying to relive who they were at the 150s and the 140s and the this or the that. That is over. It doesn't mean you can't go back to your weight, because you can. But what I'm trying to get across in this episode is you have to stop comparing who you used to be. Because that's not who you are right now. And the only thing you get to do now is you get to move forward. You get to take control. Because here's the caveat to all of that. You guys act as if the weight just found you somewhere. Like you were at the store, you were at Home Goods, you were at TJ Maxx, and the weight was like, hey bitch, I'm back, here I am, hi. You guys act like you just found the weight somewhere and picked it back up. That's not how that works. It's not how any of it works, right? So we've got to stop acting like the weight just came back on and, oh my God, COVID-19, and just here I found myself again gaining weight. You didn't find yourself here gaining weight, okay? That is you not taking responsibility and ownership of your own actions, because the only way the weight comes back on our bodies is because what we choose to put in our mouth. That is it, guys. That's it. So you're not gaining weight because of COVID. You're not gaining weight because of your divorce. You're not gaining weight because you got to do homeschool. You're not gaining weight because your life sucks. You're gaining weight because of how you're choosing to handle situations. Period. Okay? So the whole premise here is I want you to, number one, you've got to stop comparing yourself to who you used to be. Because again, if the bullshit diet that you were on in 1997 worked for you, you'd still be there today. You'd still have the same shape, the same body, the same weight. Clearly it didn't work because it's not sustainable and you hadn't done the emotional weight loss that's needed. You just did the dieting. And you probably did the dieting from a place of self-loathing, from a place of hating yourself, from a place of feeling so utterly miserable that you would have done just about anything to get the weight off. Right? I mean, I remember a time where I went in for a consultation for the freaking HCG diet. And I was like, yes, this is it. I was like pumped, you guys. And I don't know what happened to where I decided not to do it. But it was like, yeah, they're like, you have to do these shots every day. And then you only eat 500 calories a day. That is sick. But that is the price that so many of us are willing to pay or were willing to pay. Because we think that this life, this happiness, this like amazing life is just going to be sitting there waiting for us at this particular weight range. And that's just not the case. Because how many of you how many times have you lost your weight or you've lost a significant chunk of weight and you still didn't feel good about yourself? That happiness, that excitement, that I don't know, like that moment that you're waiting for, that you daydream about, it just didn't happen. Even though you had gone down the scale, even though you could wear smaller clothes. And that's the thing, is that weight loss alone is not going to unlock the magic door to your happiness. Weight loss alone is not going to all of a sudden remove your depression, your anxiety, your issues you have with certain family members, your shitty relationships, your shitty career choices. The weight loss doesn't take any of that away. And so, there's no denying that, when you are overweight and it affects your quality of life, there's no denying that when you lose physical weight, you feel better. Because you do. You physically feel better. You're able to do more things physically. It's exciting to be able to wear different clothes, a different size, to be able to walk into a store and just grab something. But that's not sustainable long term, because I call that the new car smell. That's the new car smell of weight loss. And it's just like when you get a new car, and you know what you do. You go to Target and you park at the very end of the parking lot because you're like, oh my God, I don't want anybody to scratch my car. Oh my God, the kids want to get a Happy Meal or stop for some food. And you're like, no, nobody's allowed to eat in my car. And that bullshit lasts about 3 to 6 months. Let's be real. We all start out that way. We're all trying to keep the car clean, going for car washes. And then next thing you know, you've got chicken nuggets and goldfish all over the fucking floor and it's a hot mess. Okay? That's just life. And it's the same thing with your weight loss. It's exciting in the beginning. You're like, damn, who's that girl in the mirror? You can wear certain sizes and it feels good. You can do certain things. But then what? When that new car smell of weight loss starts to wear off, well, all the stuff that you didn't work on, all of the things that you decided not to do, as in like work on your anxiety, work on your depression, aka work on all of your emotional weight, all of that self-loathing, all of those things, they're still there and they're going to come back. And that's why the bullshit diet might have gotten you down to a certain size, that certain weight range that you were craving. but it didn't give you the life that you were craving. And so that's why I say this is really the foundation of what I'm all about, because my job, my passion, my mission is to help you drop the emotional weight so you can create the life you crave and the life you deserve. Because the life you crave and the life you deserve is not contingent upon a certain number on the scale. And so that's why even inside of my coaching program, we spend a lot of time talking about who do you want to become? What does it look like to become the definition of irresistible you? Who is the future version of yourself? And we really spend time writing and talking and thinking about who that person is. What does she think? What does she do? What kind of decisions does she make? What kind of life does she want for herself? Because you have to stop measuring your weight loss journey with some bullshit weight range that probably isn't even relevant anyways. And do not get me started on BMI. BMI is the stupidest effing thing that exists. And I cannot understand how people that go to school for 8 to 10 years who are highly educated people, aka doctors, are still whipping out the BMI and going, oh, you're morbidly obese. And they're only looking at your weight. Let's look at your weight versus your height, and I'm going to spit out this bullshit phrase to you and tell you you're morbidly obese. Like, bitch, I'm not morbidly obese. That is not what morbidly obese is, okay? But the BMI does not take into consideration anything other than the number on the scale and your height. That's it. It does not take into consideration any of your other vitals, any other statistics, your muscle mass, none of those things, okay? So we have to stop measuring our life and our success and our worth in a weight range. You have to stop doing that. And instead, you have to start, and this is what we do in my program, I've been doing this for years. You have to start measuring your journey by how you want to feel, how you want to look, and how you want to live. And you get to define what is that life that you crave. Because the life that you crave is not saying, I'm 120 pounds. What the fuck does that even mean? Honestly, if you're sitting around listening to this, driving in your car, and all you ever do is obsess about, oh, I just got to get back to the 120. And then you pick the most obscure number. When I was 123.2, oh man, I had everything together. My life was amazing. You were probably also 21 years old and had zero responsibilities. Like, let's just stop the comparison of who we used to be and start moving forward with who we want to become. Because you can't go backwards. So the point here is that we have to define the life that you crave. And the thing about it, where you've got it twisted right now, is you think about, I'm sure we all do this, you think about who you want to become, the type of lifestyle you want, how you want to, how you want to interact with people and how you want people to treat you. And you're running on the treadmill and doing your workouts and eating your bullshit salads and broccoli and crap that you can't stand. And the whole time you're just like, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. If I just get the weight off. It's like you're just like buckled down, put your head down, not going to go anywhere. And I am just going to like get this weight off. And when this weight comes off, I'm not going to be the shy, miserable little girl anymore. I'm going to be this outgoing, bubbly, amazing social butterfly that everybody just is like drawn to. Well, if you're not already like that now, how the hell is losing your weight going to change that? You're not losing your personality because you're not even working on it. So that's what I'm trying to get at here, guys, is we have to stop believing that weight loss alone, and I want to make sure that's clear. Weight loss alone is going to give us this amazing life that we're craving for ourselves. Because there's more to it than just the physical weight loss. That's why I say you have to look at this as a whole journey, because it's not just the physical weight. If you really want to transform your life, I'm not talking about you just want to lose weight. I'm talking about you spend a lifetime hating yourself, beating yourself up, calling yourself names, letting your weight dictate every single thing about you. You've gone up and down the scale literally more times than you can count. And you're sick and tired of feeling that way. You're ready for more than a diet. You're ready for more than just the weight loss. It's time to transform your life and create the life you crave, the life you actually deserve. And if you've lost your weight before, or you've lost a good chunk of your weight, and you still felt the way you feel at your higher weight, then that's your sign that something has to change. Something more has to change. Because the number doesn't mean shit. The number is just a number. The number is like finances, right? Go in your bank account, you see how much you've spent, you see how much money you have left. That's all it means. It's just a number. The number doesn't define your quality of life. It doesn't define what you're able to do physically. It doesn't define anything. So you have to get crystal effing clear about who you want to become. How do you want to live your life? What type of lifestyle do you want to create? Because here's the problem. When you hate yourself, when you're uncomfortable in your own skin, you tolerate a lot of things that are super toxic and super negative because you don't think you deserve anything else. And so when we talk about weight here, that's what we're talking about, because weight loss is not just about going on a diet, restricting yourself, losing a shit ton of weight, and going, oh my God, look at my before and after pictures. Before I was miserable, and now I'm like this amazing human being. I hate before and after pictures, and I hate those weight loss stories at 3 a.m. because they don't paint the whole picture. Those stories do not take anything else into consideration. And whatever caused you to gain your weight, whatever triggered you to use food as a coping mechanism, that isn't going to go away until you decide you're ready to lose the emotional weight, the excuses, the entitlement, and all the things that you tell yourself. And so you have to get really crystal clear on who is it that you want to become. And that's kind of how my journey started when I really decided to change and flip the script. It wasn't so much, oh my God, I have to lose the weight. I got to a place where I was like, you know what? Someday I'm going to have a boat. Someday I want to have a house with a pool. Someday I want to have my own business. Someday I want to work for myself. Someday I'll be able to do that. Someday I'll be able to afford that. Someday I'll be able to set boundaries. Someday I'll be able to and I was just to the point where I was sick and tired of hearing my ass saying someday. Because someday is not one of the 7 days of the week. So until you get clear and intentional about how to get to those goals, how to create that life, because I had this lifestyle that I wanted. I had a certain lifestyle that I was craving, but I wasn't taking the intentional actions to make that happen for myself. And I always was just trying to lose the weight, trying to lose the weight, thinking if I lose, like, yeah, Amy, losing the weight is going to magically open up your finances, right? And give you the boat and the house and all the material things that you want. No. It's like, come on, guys. Like that, when you fantasize and you daydream and you think about the life that you crave, that's great. And that's one piece of the puzzle. But then what actions are you taking? And so your weight and how you think and feel about yourself is very much connected to the lifestyle that you're living. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that, just like in the program, we talk about this a lot, and you get specific strategies to use, and we have a worksheet, and we have all these things that we do where, this is science. Your thoughts that you have about yourself determine your emotions that you have. And as human beings, we tend to act out of emotion. So your actions are a sum of the way you feel about yourself. And if you don't feel good about yourself, if you don't feel worthy, if you don't feel deserving, I bet you're not going for that job promotion. You're not putting yourself out there to find a partner. You're not putting yourself in vulnerable situations where you might get rejected because you don't feel worthy. And so it's all deeply, deeply connected to one another. And so that's why, in order to live the life that you crave, you can't just depend on, if I could just get to this weight range, if I could just be in the 120s like I was in this picture from 20 years ago, my life would be great right now. We got to stop that mindset because that's toxic AF. So, who do you want to become? What kinds of things do you want to be able to do? Because you can't just look at weight loss like, I hate myself, I'm so fat and disgusting, I don't want to look like this, I don't want to be the token fat girl, I don't want to be and I just got to get the weight off. That is called self-loathing. That is called self-hatred. That is called not having an ounce of empathy for yourself. What are the reasons why you don't want to be overweight? That's getting clear. Okay? And then so it's like, what are the reasons why you never want to be overweight again? Because what do you want to be able to do? Okay? And it's funny because being pregnant, I'm like a little over 6 months pregnant now, which I'm like, whoa, what? And, I've gained a little over 40 pounds so far. Oh my God. And, that mixed with the pregnancy and just there's things I'm not able to do right now, but I don't hate myself. I don't feel self-loathing. And I know it's because I've done the work where I know so many women that get pregnant and they're in that negative headspace. And it's like, that's how I used to feel when I was at my highest weight, non-pregnant. And I wrote this post a couple years back. I think it was after my daughter was born. And I wrote this post called, Thank God I was fat and obese or fat and depressed before I got pregnant. And I basically talked about how, I already knew what it was like to have rapid weight gain, to not be able to do things physically, to see my quality of life start to change and all those things and go through the depression and all of that. So that when I got pregnant, hello, you're going to gain weight. It happens. You're not going to be able to do certain things physically because that's just, you're growing a child and your stomach is getting ginormous and you can't do certain things. But it's not because you're this depressed, sad, miserable woman sitting on the couch shoving food down her throat. There's a big difference here. And so, I know because of the work I've done through my journey and what I teach that I'm able to embrace my pregnancies in a different way than maybe someone who hasn't done the work, especially a plus size pregnancy, which is very different. I feel like, because I don't just have the cute little belly and that's it. It's like, no, it's like everything's expanding. And here's the thing. I don't care because I know once I deliver and I have my baby, I have the rest of my life to get in shape, and I know that the weight comes off, right? The weight is not a permanent thing. And so and plus it's also because I don't measure my life by how much I weigh. I measure my life in how I want to feel. I measure my life in how I want to show up. I measure my life in the lifestyle that I have. Like, this life that I have was not an accident. It wasn't an accident. Everything is intentional. And it takes hard work and it takes actions. It doesn't take, like, there's not this power of, magic thinking that things are just going to show up. That doesn't work that way. But pregnancy, I have to just kind of sideline here a second and tell you that it is reminding me, and it kind of inspired this episode as well, about how I think about weight loss now and how I think about my success and how I want to create that life that I crave. Because, being pregnant, my body is changing. I'm gaining weight. My mobility is limited. And, it's just different. It's just going to be different until the baby comes out. And that's how it was last time. And that's how it is this time. But it reminded me that it's not about a number. Because honestly, you got to think about, what do you want to be able to do? And right now, like, I can barely bend over because of my belly. And I had to cut my nails the other night because I stubbed my toe outside. And so I had to bend over and cut my own nails. I thought I was going to die. And I thought to myself, oh my God, there was a time where I was so big, and I wasn't pregnant, but I was so big that I could barely bend over and touch my toes, cut my nails, tie my shoes, what have you. I thought to myself, I don't ever want to feel like that again. That's what goes into, who do you want to become? What kind of life do you want to live? What kind of lifestyle do you want? How do you want to be able to use your body? Because I don't care what the number on the scale says, but if I'm not able to bend over and tie my shoes, that's a problem for me. I want to be able to go up and down the steps and not be out of breath. And before I got pregnant, I was able to do that. And so these things that are happening and these changes in my body right now are reminding me of why it's so important to set your goals in this way. Because what difference does it make about your weight range? Because I knew women that I used to work with that were at least no more than 120 and could not go up and down the stairs without running out of breath. So how do you want to measure your success? How do you want to create your life that you crave? And for me, you guys know, if you've been listening for the past 6-7 months, I always sound like I'm out of breath because I'm literally just sitting here. But my diaphragm is being squished because I, got this boy is just like pushing. But I remember a time where I was, again, so large that I was always out of breath. And I was really young. When I was in my early 20s, I was going to college. I wasn't even 21 yet. I was 19, 20 years old. I was going to college and I was working full time as a travel agent. I would go to school at night after work. So I would work 8 to 5 and then I would go to school at nights. I remember walking around college campus at 19, 20 years old. I couldn't breathe. I was sweating. And it was the middle of the winter, wearing a coat and just feeling like I was going to die. I don't ever want to go back to that. I don't want to feel out of breath just from walking, because now I love to walk. It is one of my most favorite things to do is throw my kids in the car. And when I say kids now, it's Chewy and Catalina. Chewy is my Chihuahua, but he is my child. He was my first child. And I just throw my kids in the truck and we just hit the trails. And that to me is now oh my God, I got to go do this. Hopefully it's not too hot this afternoon. I want to go do that today. So think about that. Like as you're writing down and you're going to write this down, who do you want to become? What is the life that you crave? What do you want to be able to do? And for me, it's just reminded me through this pregnancy, like, I don't ever want to be obese again. I know when my pregnancies, I tend to gain a lot of weight. It's just how my body is. It's okay because I will get back to where I was. But I don't care about the number. I care about, I don't want to be running up and down the stairs with my baby and be out of breath. I don't want to be able to not pick things up off the floor and have to ask my 3-year-old to get it for me. And I'm only in my 30s. I don't want to have to do that, right? I don't ever again want to have limited mobility. Because, like, right now, it's like I'm in that place, I'm kind of in that place where everything is starting to get miserable. It's just because I'm almost in the 3rd trimester and it's like I can't sit down for too long. I can't stand for too long. I can't lay in the bed in one position for too long. And it's like my mobility is getting to the point where it feels a little bit limited. And that just reminds me, I don't ever want to feel like that not pregnant. Because I want to feel strong. The life that I want is I want to feel strong. I want to feel in control of my body. I want to feel powerful. And for me, if I can't go up and down the stairs and I can't bend and I can't move my arms and I can't sit, crisscross without feeling some type of way, that to me is not the life that I crave. And I can be 200 pounds and be able to do all of those things perfectly. So why does the number matter? I hope this is actually sinking in now that I'm giving these examples, right? And the thing is I have 100% control over creating that lifestyle. Because nobody is shoving food down my throat except for me. So and nobody can go out and move and exercise and stretch but me. So if I want to be able to do those things, it's not anybody else's fault if I can't. Okay? The other thing too is for me, I don't ever want to wake up again and go, oh my God, how did this happen? How did I get here? And what I mean by that is, I have this term that we use called zombie walking. And when you're zombie walking, you're totally disconnected from yourself. You're disconnected from your choices. You're disconnected from your just your emotions and your feelings and just yourself. It's like you're almost having this out of body experience. And when you're zombie walking through life, just like a zombie, like Walking Dead zombie, you wake up one morning, and here it is. I use this example all the time, but it's like you wake up one morning and spring has turned into summer. It's disgustingly hot outside and you're like, oh my God, it's so hot today. There's no way I can hide my body in these leggings. I have to go put on a pair of shorts. And you go to the closet or the dresser and you pull out the pair of shorts and oh my God, they won't even go over your hips. And you think, oh my God, I can't believe, you're like that moment where your heart just sinks. And you're like, I can't believe this happened. How did I get here again? Let me tell you, that has been a driving force for me for several years now, to where even, almost 4 years ago now when I had my daughter, I never gained my weight back. I lost all but 10 pounds of my baby weight because I gained 70 pounds, you guys. And I lost all but almost 10 of those, but I never once gained any of it back because I made a conscious, intentional decision to never zombie walk again through my life. Because that's what I was talking about earlier in the podcast, where I'm like, the weight doesn't just, oh my God, it just showed up again. The weight found me. No, you made a decision somewhere along the way to check out. Because it was so hard. Because here's the thing. That moment where you step on the scale and you're like, I can't believe the scale's going up. I can't believe the scale's going up. Nothing I'm doing is working. And so what do? You're like, the hell with the scale. I'm not looking at it. I'm not dealing with it. I don't want any part of it. And you just check out of everything. You're checking out of your choices. You're checking out of everything. And next thing you know, boom, you've gained it all back because of the choices you were making. Because you have to wake up. You have to be in the moment. You have to embrace where you are, even if you don't like what it says. Okay? So, for me, being pregnant, even staying active, eating, somewhat clean and healthy, the weight just comes on for me. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like, this is the body that I have, and this is what happens. This is the last time I will be pregnant. It's okay. I'll just, I'll be fine. But it reminds me that I don't ever want to have rapid weight gain again and act like I don't know how it happened. I know how it's happening now, obviously. But I don't want to be in that moment where I like wake up from a zombie slumber and like, oh my God, how did I get here? Okay. And just right now, like my energy is so low. I mean, my energy is low. And I think some of it too is just like being pregnant in a pandemic is a totally like, it's just a game changer. It's different. It's weird. It's, there's a lot of things I can't do. It's just different. And I did a YouTube video and a podcast on that a few weeks ago. But I don't want to, so like, I want a life where I feel energetic and excited about getting out and living life. That's the life I crave. So what you really have to do is you have to get crystal clear. Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? How do you want to feel? How do you want to look? Like going back to the weight ranges and the BMIs, like the weight ranges they tell me I'm supposed to be for like 5 foot, barely 3 is like, I don't know, 130 or something. And I'm like, I don't think I've been 130 since like middle school. I don't even know when I was 130. And that to me just feels very small and skinny. And my frame is not small and skinny. I am curvy. I have, big hips. I have a big butt. I have a big chest. I have thick thighs. And for so much time in my life, I hated looking like that when I was younger because I looked a lot older than I was. And it got me a lot of attention that I didn't want. And I hated looking so, for lack of a better word, like curvy and womanly and when I was like really young. And as I got older, and I also think, depending upon where you grow up and the people you're around, that body type is more accepted, I think nowadays anyway, but in certain circles it's more accepted. And anyway, so I love my body type. I love it. I don't want to not be curvy because no matter what I do, I'm going to be curvy. And when I exercise, I put muscle on very quickly. So I embrace that. And so I'm always going to weigh more than some stupid ass BMI weight chart says for me. And I'm okay with that because I like the way I look. I don't want to lose the curviness. Okay. For me, so how I define that is like, I want to look curvy. I want to look strong. I don't want to look flabby and I don't want to look obese. And I don't care what the number is because the number doesn't matter. What matters is how I feel about myself. But at the same time, that's the physical. So you have to think about, it's not just about the physical, but it's also about how do I want to show up? I want to show up, wanting to have this like energetic zest for life. I want my kids to ask me to play or go outside or go for a run or go for walks, and I want to say yes. Not out of obligation, but because I genuinely want to do it and I can do it. I want to live a life where I have clear boundaries with what I will and will not tolerate. Because I know my worth. I want to live a life where I go after my dreams and my goals because I know I deserve it. So this exercise, I really want you thinking about that. How do you want to feel? How do you want to show up? How do you want to look? How do you want to measure the life that you crave? And the number on the scale, the weight range, that is not a measurement of who you are. The scale is a number. The scale is a metric. Running a business, I'm very metric driven. And that's literally all the scale is. It's one piece of the puzzle. One. It's just like that whole BMI bullshit. The number they're using for your weight is one piece of the puzzle, but they're not putting the whole puzzle together. They're not looking and saying, okay, well, what's your muscle mass? What is your blood pressure? What is this? What is that? Are you able to run a mile without feeling like you're going to die? So stop measuring your life in a weight range. Stop it. Because that's not helping you become the woman you crave to be. And all of you have this craving that you have to satisfy. And you keep using diets as a way to satisfy the craving and then wondering why you don't feel the way you wish you felt. Because you're not addressing the real problem. So think about it. How do you want to move your body? What do you want to be able to do? What type of movements and exercises and things do you want to be able to do? Because just saying, I got to get back to 130 is not going to make you athletic. It's not going to make you not be out of breath. It's like there's just certain things like, I've seen people that don't want to be out of breath, but then they're a smoker. Well, please tell me how that works. Right? Like there's other lifestyle changes you're going to have to make if there's other things that you want to. So that's why I'm saying we have to stop just measuring the weight. How do you want to show up for yourself, for your kids, for your family? What type of person do you want to become? And how do you want to take care of yourself? All of these things that we're talking about today. I know this was a super long episode, but I get really fired up and I think it's just super important. And this is the epitome of what we do inside the program, but we break it down a lot. Because it's ultimately about how do we create the life we crave and deserve? Number one, we have to disconnect that the scale is a measurement of that. The scale is one little small piece of the puzzle. And so really digging into what do I want? What do I want? I asked someone that the other day and she couldn't answer the question because she had never taken the time to think about herself. And it's time to start thinking about yourself and what you want. What does the life you crave look like? What does it look like? And the second thing too, we talked about this today, is I want you to stop comparing where you were with where you are now. Because where you were doesn't matter. The only thing that matters now is where you're going. Because you can't go backwards in time. You can only go forwards. So what does that look like for you? All right, guys, I think that's going to be just about it. Let's talk about this over in the free Facebook group. If you're not a member, you can request to join. You just go to Facebook, type in Irresistible You Podcast. You'll find it in the groups, request to join. And if you're not able to do that, I also have the link in the show notes. You can just click it, request to join, answer the questions, and, I'll let you inside the group. So that's about it, guys. Also, the best place to find me, honestly, online is Instagram. I do a lot of Instagram stories, behind the scenes, things like that. Also a glimpse into my personal life as well. You can find me at Irresistible Icing. And I hope this episode was helpful. If it was, if the podcast has helped you grow in any sort of way, I would appreciate you going over into iTunes and leaving a quick rating and review. It is so helpful. It allows other women to find the podcast, and it just would mean the world to me. So, all right, ladies, I will catch you in the next episode. I will see you inside the group. Until then, stay irresistible. Bye, guys.